Hey, everybody. I thought for a change of pace, I would talk about movies for a change. And what I've done is my top 10 favorite movies of all time. And I've decided not to rank them because, I don't know, most of the movie, there is actually one that's always going to be my number one. Then all the other ones, it doesn't matter how I rank them. I enjoy all of them. But some of the movies I love that didn't make my top 10 include all of the Austin Powers movies. I love all three of those. Casino. This isn't really a movie, but of course the Sparks documentary. I love documentaries. I actually, uh, I don't just enjoy watching rock music documentaries. I'll watch a documentary on almost anything. I just love documentaries, learning more about an actor or a singer or whatever. This could have easily made my top 10, but it didn't. Christmas Vacation. The Ruddles, of course, a parody on the Beatles. Step Brothers, which I've watched with Molly more than once. uh, I would say half of it, probably 60, 70% of it is hilarious. And then the other 30% of it is, there's a point where it's stupid funny. And then there's a point where it's stupid not funny, for me personally. Boy, it hurts not to have this in my top 10, but it's right up there. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles with Steve Martin and John Candy, of course. Another great documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old. And I'm not a big fan of horror movies, but there are a few of the older ones that, for instance, The Exorcist, which I don't have on DVD or Blu-ray, that was scary. But for the most part, the reason I don't care for horror movies is I don't find them scary. But one of the older horror movies, The Omen, that's scary. It's a good movie. And talking about scary, Plan 9 from Outer Space, it's considered one of the worst, if not the worst movie of all time. So it's a fun watch. More comedy, Airplane. This is kind of it's like a thriller slash comedy drama. The King of Comedy with Robert De Niro and Jerry Lewis. It's where Robert De Niro plays a character who's really obsessed with being a talk show host, similar to, like Johnny Carson. Even have set up his own in his basement or whatever. He'd be recording himself, imagining to have his own talk show. It's kind of creepy and scary, but really good. This is Spinal Tap, a great parody of a rock band. Another great comedy, Dumb and Dumber. Meet the Parents, one of my favorite comedies. A great drama, thriller, The Fly. Now, this is a comedy horror movie. It's the original Fright Night, which has a Sparks song in it. I think Armies of the Night, I believe. This is really good. And this is kind of a cult movie. It's not really well known, although they did remake it, and I think the second version did pretty good at the box office. But The original is the one to watch, The Stepfather, where this guy is he actually has two families and he goes back and forth between them, and it's really good. I love all three of these. Well, I think there's more than three, but these movies by Christopher Guest. Best in Show is one of them. You can't go wrong with The Wizard of Oz, a true classic. And of course, I love Edgar Wright's Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. And of course, he later did the Sparks documentary. Here's another Austin Powers movie. And then all of the Monty Python, including The Meaning of Life, I love. Napoleon Dynamite, great comedy. The 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah, here's another one with Christopher Guest, one of my favorite comedians, A Mighty Wind. Molly's favorite. We've watched this probably over a dozen times. Jiminy Glick in La La Wood with Martin Short. It really bombed at the box office. I think it made like $20,000. But it's actually very, very good. Very fun. Another Monty Python, Life of Brian. And who can forget Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band with the Bee Gees and Peter Frampton? Pretty bad movie. So, I'm going to show you at the moment, my top 10. And like I said, I do have a number one, which I'll leave for the end. So in my top 10, a great comedy. And I love Ben Stiller's character in this. There's Something About Mary. And I'm one of those, I've mentioned this before when I talk about movies. I love the bonus material. Whenever I buy something like this, I usually go to the bonus material first. You know, the making of and the outtakes and everything. This is a great drama. And it's based on a true story. Midnight Express. Highly recommended. And also another great drama with the amazing Kathy Bates. Misery. I've watched this many, many times. When somebody says, I'm your biggest fan, it's time to worry. Deliverance. Of course, it has that pretty famous scene, squeal like a pig. And I remember when I was working, my friend Will, I lent this to him. And then after a few days, he returned it to me, and he was laughing about the squeal like a pig part of the movie. And I said, Will, it wasn't a comedy. This is, I think, a very underrated movie. A Simple Plan with Billy Bob Thornton and Bridget Fonda and Bill Paxton. If you haven't seen this and you like dramas, there's a bit of violence in this too, but it is superb. Highly recommended. And there's only, I've also talked about this more than once. The acting is great in it, all the way through, but there's just this one moment with Bill Paxton when he has a line, something like, oh God, he's dead. And it just sounds so, it's just bad acting. Just him saying that line. It's like a comedy almost. And I already mentioned a couple of those Christopher Guest movies. Uh, Also with Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, and Fred Willard, another one of my all-time favorite comics. But my favorite of all of those movies is Waiting for Guffman. I don't actually have it on DVD or Blu-ray. I lent it to my sister, and I haven't gotten it back yet. But yeah, it's it's my favorite comedy of all time, and what I love about it is, they have a basic script, but then they ad lib things during the movie, and all of all of the comedians are just so good, and I also love the storyline, and so yeah, it's my favorite comedy movie of all time. Waiting for Guffman. And I'm noticing as much as I love comedy, most of my top 10 are not comedies. Jim Carrey, The Truman Show. I love the story of this, where Jim Carrey is born and his whole life is a TV show, and his wife is an actress. His friends are actors and actresses, and everybody, like, he's living in this town or city, and it's all fake. And it is an amazing performance by Jim Carrey, and great story. And speaking of great stories, once again, Billy Bob Thornton, and he directed this, he wrote it, and such an amazing actor. Sling Blade, totally different from the other movie I just showed you, A Simple Plan. You wouldn't know it was the same actor. Right there, Billy Bob Thornton and him there. Two more to go. This would probably be my second favorite, Of Mice and Men. Highly recommended if you've never seen it. I know this isn't the original one. I've never seen the original one, but I don't think this movie could be beat. I don't want to see the original. I'm very happy with this one. And my number one all-time favorite movie is Goodfellas. Yeah. I've watched this probably at least 8 times through the years, and a little bit of violence in it, a little bit of blood and gore, even right away, like the very first scene. But it's excellent. And then the Irishman that was on Netflix, I don't know, about 2, 3 years ago, went directly to Netflix. I really enjoyed that movie too. I know it was maybe some people found it boring and kind of dragged out, but people don't have the, I don't know, the patience like they used to. They always want the fast action and all that, but I really enjoyed The Irishman. And that is it. I would love to know, out of the movies that I've shown you, which ones are your favorite, and also what are some of your favorite movies of all time. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.